crisp, ordinary day in 1963, something extraordinary happened that would change the course of American history. It was November 22nd, and President John F. Kennedy was in Dallas, Texas. What seemed like a routine motorcade turned tragic as an assassin's bullets tore through the president's head, ending his life in an instant. The world watched in shock as the nation was thrust into a period of intense grief and uncertainty. But for many, that day marked not just the loss of a president, but the beginning of something much darker, a shadowy turn in the American government, one that would see intelligence agencies tighten their grip on the country. While some dismiss this notion as a conspiracy theory, a closer examination of the events surrounding JFK's assassination and the subsequent years reveals troubling inconsistencies that cannot be ignored. One of the most startling elements of this story is what happened to JFK's brain. After the president's death, it was reported that his brain, which would have been crucial in determining the trajectory of the fatal bullets, was mysteriously lost. This was no small detail. The brain would have been essential evidence in establishing exactly how and where the shots were fired. But instead of an investigation focused on uncovering the truth, the evidence disappeared. Imagine the implications. A high-ranking member of the CIA at the time was George H.W. Bush, a figure whose connections to intelligence operations have long been the subject of speculation. Whether or not Bush himself was directly involved in the conspiracy to kill Kennedy, his rapid rise to political power in the years that followed cannot be ignored. From 1963 onward, he seemed to be positioned perfectly for a future role in government, eventually becoming vice president under Ronald Reagan and later, president himself. Then came another chilling twist. During Reagan's presidency, there was an assassination attempt on the president's life. The would-be assassin, John Hinckley Jr., had strange ties to the Bush family. In fact, just a week before the shooting, Hinckley's family was scheduled to have dinner with the Bushes. Was this a mere coincidence, or is there something more sinister at play? This was also the same Reagan administration that was embroiled in the Iran-Contra scandal, a covert operation that involved the CIA trafficking cocaine in Central America to fund illegal activities. The story of this scandal, which sounds like something out of a Hollywood thriller, has been dramatized in movies like American Made, starring Tom Cruise. The film captures the chaotic, high-stakes nature of the operation, which involved illegal arms sales, drug trafficking, and the manipulation of foreign governments. One of the key players in this story was Bill Clinton, who, as governor of Arkansas, played a role in the operations connected to the CIA's drug trade. The state of Arkansas was a central hub for the trafficking of cocaine, and there are even reports of training camps for the Contras being established there. But there's more. The story of the Boys on the Tracks in the 1980s, where two teenage boys were found murdered under mysterious circumstances, is tied to this larger web of CIA involvement and the Clinton family's own connections to it. Clinton's own personal history was no less complicated. His time in office was marked by his connection to these covert operations, and the darker side of his personal life was also revealed. Numerous credible allegations of sexual assault and rape surfaced during and after his presidency, painting a picture of a man whose political career was built not only on his policies, but also on the silence of those who sought to expose the truth. After Clinton's time in office, the nation was once again faced with a dark reflection of the past. In 2001, just as George W. Bush took office as president, the events of September 11th unfolded, forever altering the trajectory of the United States. The attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon would serve as the catalyst for a terrifying new chapter in American history, the complete militarization of domestic life. 9/11, while officially attributed to terrorist groups, raised many questions about its true origins. For some, the question remains, how could two 110-story skyscrapers collapse in such a short time? The official explanation involves a natural collapse, but the speed at which the buildings came down seemed more in line with a controlled demolition than anything else. The physical evidence of the building's collapse has been called into question by engineers and architects, and the possibility of a larger conspiracy involving intelligence agencies has never been fully ruled out. For those who argue that the CIA was not involved in these events, the connection becomes clear when examining the history of the Bush family and their ties to the intelligence community. From the death of JFK to the events of 9/11, there is a continuous thread of covert operations, manipulation of public opinion, and the protection of powerful interests. The CIA, with its vast resources, seems to have operated with impunity, orchestrating events and shaping the course of history to suit its needs. As we fast forward to the present day, the story of the Bush family and their involvement in these dark chapters of American history comes full circle. George W. Bush, son of the man who played a central role in the assassination of JFK, becomes president and oversees the implementation of policies that would reshape the nation. The so-called War on Terror led to endless conflict abroad, the erosion of civil liberties at home, and the rise of a surveillance state that many believe is a direct consequence of the shadowy machinations of the intelligence agencies. The events of the past 5 decades have left a nation deeply scarred, with a growing sense of distrust toward the institutions that are supposed to protect and serve the people. And yet, despite all of this, the media and political elites have focused their attention on distractions, be it the controversies surrounding figures like Donald Trump, who, while certainly a polarizing figure, is not the real driver of these deeper, systemic issues. Whether one agrees with Trump or not, his presidency highlighted the extent to which the traditional power structures in Washington had eroded. Trump may have been a symbol of chaos, but it was the systems behind him, the intelligence agencies, the military-industrial complex, the political dynasties, that were the true architects of America's decline. In the end, the story of the Kennedy assassination and the rise of the Bush family represents a broader narrative, one of hidden power, covert operations, and the manipulation of the American people. It is a story that is far from over, as the forces that shaped the last half-century of American history continue to exert their influence on the present. And while many may dismiss these ideas as conspiracy theories, the facts remain. A president was killed, his brain was lost, and the world was never the same again. This version expands on the themes, explores the connections between political figures, and contextualizes the larger implications for U.S. history while keeping the flow of the original narrative. Let me know if you'd like me to continue or refine any particular sections.